Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm going to show you how I made this striped floral swirled vinyl custom epoxy tumbler. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. This design I did live, or at least started the process in my Facebook group, and I absolutely fell in love with this vinyl. This is a design from Peachy Olive Glitter, and I am obsessed with the color red and pink, so this was absolutely perfect. So this is a 30-ounce straight skinny, and what I did is I trimmed down the vinyl to be the right size of the cup, cut about an inch of the backing off the beginning part of the vinyl, and I just lifted the back of the backing of the vinyl. I know that sounds pretty complicated, but I'm just gently pushing off the backing with my squeegee as I move around the cup. I know you can't really see what I'm doing as much here, but I'm just gently pushing off the backing as I turn the cup to get the vinyl nice and adhered. And I found that this way really gets the vinyl pushed down with as few bubbles as possible. So I had already cut the vinyl to be the right size, so there was just a little bit of an overlap. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife, choking up a little bit so that there's no chance of any of the stainless steel to appear, and I'm just going to trim that little bit of vinyl off so that I got a great seam, and then move into the next steps of this design. After that, I'm going to grab my vinyl trimmer from CamiPaige Boutique, and I am just going to put the cup on there and just spin the cup, pushing up against the blade. The blade on this vinyl trimmer is twice the size of other vinyl trimmers on the market, so it makes it super easy and you get a nice, crisp, clean line every time. So I start at the top, and then I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. And this is really important when you're doing full vinyl wraps, because you want to make sure that, especially at the top rim, that you have enough stainless steel exposed so that your next coats of epoxy have something to really adhere well to. After that, I'm going to move into the swirls on the cup. So I'm going to start with the biggest swirl first. And with this design, what I really wanted to make sure to do is, just like with my Milky Ways, that I wanted the swirl to start and stop on like the same vertical line. So if you were to draw a vertical line up and down, I wanted it to start and stop so that way it was a really nice visual element to the cup. After I get that first swirl on, I'm grabbing my thinner tape, and that first tape was about 1.5 inches. This one, I believe, is a 1/2 inch. I'm going to go right up next to that blue tape and just mark off another line. So the reason why I'm doing this is actually there's a couple of reasons why, is when I go in to paint underneath and I'll show you what we're going to do in a second, I wanted to have tape there so that it wouldn't get onto the vinyl. So like the paint, the epoxy, or the glitter glue that I'm going to be using, not to get on the vinyl. Also, I'm going to do another line here because I wanted to do an offset spiral to the main spiral that we're doing. So I'm going to come in with this 1/2 inch tape again and go right up against the line and mark off another 2 lines. So you're going to have the blue tape, and then you're going to have 3 lines on the side of that tape. And that's so that when you come in and you cut out that swirl that's going to be offset of the main swirl, you have tape there to protect the vinyl. I know that's pretty confusing, but I swear it will make sense. So there you can see that there's just the 2 lines on both sides of it, but I'll add a third here in a second. So this, you're going to want to take your time. Like I can't emphasize that enough, but you're going to want to have a sharp blade on your X-Acto knife, and you're going to trace the line between the 2 pieces of tape. It's a lot easier than you think it is. So trust me, you can absolutely do this, but you're just going to take your blade and run it between the 2 pieces of tape and push down so that you're cutting through the vinyl. So that's the thing that you want to do, is you want to cut through the vinyl, and you're going to do it on both sides. And I'm sorry, my kitten is making an appearance in this video, but you'll see, because I did that, the vinyl comes up perfectly, and you're going to have nice crisp lines on both sides. So the reason why there was that extra piece right there is because the vinyl overlapped, and so that's what I was pulling off, and that is Miss Lily May, if anybody is wondering. But you can see that it just pulls off, so you do want to apply enough pressure with your X-Acto knife to cut through the vinyl. Now it's time to paint the background of our first swirl. So this is Heartthrob from Miss Lillian's No Wax Chalk Paint. I love this paint because you can see just how amazing it covers that stainless steel. You can find it on the CamiPaige boutique website. I love it. I use it all the time, but I'm just going to apply the paint and then I'm going to come in with my heat gun and make sure it's dry. Now this paint dries in less than 10 minutes anyway, but because I was on a live, I wanted to speed up the process. So you can just hit it with your heat gun and it dries super fast. I only did one coat of paint because it covered so well. And then I'm going to come in with my glitter glue from Artistry Epoxy. So I wanted to tint the glitter glue. You don't have to. This was actually the request of one of the people on the live. You could just apply the glitter glue because it dries clear. But I'm just coming in and just applying the glitter glue and paint mixture to the stripe, just so I get amazing coverage. Then I come in with Cupid's Revenge. This is one of my custom mixes from Boujie Glitter Boutique. And then I am just going to coat that center section and make sure that it's nice and covered, no holding back, and then we're gonna move into the next steps. After the glitter and paint dried for probably about 45 minutes, I sealed the crap out of them just because I didn't want the glitter to move on me. And so you can see that there is that nice crisp line there. That was awesome for this next step. So again, before I'm coming in with these stripe like offsets of the one that we left there, that glitter had been sealed twice with Rust-Oleum clear gloss spray paint, just so it wouldn't move on me when I am moving the cup around like this. So I just want to preface it. But what I'm doing again is I'm coming in with that 1/2 inch tape and I'm offsetting that stripe that was left over on both sides. Now, the reason why I am doing this is because we are going to cut out another stripe on both sides of that center stripe that you see there. So I want to just apply tape on both sides to make sure that we're protecting the vinyl and now the glitter that's there, so that we don't get any paint, glue, or glitter anywhere that we don't want it. So I'm just taking my time, making sure that the tape is butted up against that middle stripe as much as possible, because the other reason why this is important is because if it is off, you're going to see it visually. Again, this is not hard. Just take your time and make sure that it's nice and pushed down before we come in and do the same step with these other stripes. So just like with the blue tape, I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife, again, this is a super sharp blade, and run it in between the two pieces of tape. Just take your time. This is sped up. This is not as fast as I was going, but just push down to make sure that you're cutting through the vinyl to the stainless steel, and that way it comes up and you have nice crisp lines. So just go on one side of the tape, then come back and make sure to do the other. I promise, and I want to emphasize this so much. This is not hard. You can absolutely do this. Just take your time, because I don't want you guys to think that this is, oh, I can't accomplish this. You absolutely can. Just take your time. There's nothing about this that's super technical or that you need to be a pro to do. So I did this on the first stripe, and then I'm going to go ahead and repeat this step on the second stripe, and then it's time to move into paint and glitter. Now it's time for the super satisfying pulls, but you can see because I pushed down and I got the vinyl all the way cut through, it comes off super easy with the piece of tape. So you can see there, now there's overlapped vinyl, so that's why you're seeing that there. So I'm just pulling it off, and you can just look at how awesome that those stripes came out. I decided to tape off the bottom of the cup so that that way it wouldn't go onto the butt. And that's because I wanted to do the butt the same color as the middle stripe that you see here. But what I'm coming in with, this is bright white from, again, Miss Lillian's No Wax Chalk Paint. I'm just coming in and painting the stripe right there. I'm sorry I'm out of frame. You would think that I would know better by now, but I guess I haven't. But I'm just painting that stripe, and I'm going to do 2 coats just because the white didn't cover the stainless steel as much as I wanted it to. I mean, I could probably get away with it, but I got to be extra and do the 2 coats like you can see here. But then once this was dry, I came in with glitter glue and applied the glitter. Now, I know you guys have heard me rave about glitter glue, but I really do love this stuff. It covers just as well, or just as well as the epoxy method, and it's a lot faster for me, and I don't have to mix epoxy, which is always a good thing. So I'm just gonna come in and just make sure that the stripes are nice and coated with the glitter glue. I'm going to use Chantilly from Peachy Olive Glitters. I love this white glitter. It was just the right fine to really offset the vinyl that we're doing, and I missed a spot in the corner. That's totally my fault. So I just came in and touched it up. But I'm just going to make sure the glitter glue is coating both of these awesome stripes. And my goodness, I am out of frame most of this video, so I apologize. But I'm just gonna make sure that there's a nice even coat of the glitter glue in that white stripe, and then hit it with the Chantilly just like we did before. After this dries, I'm going to seal it twice with the Rust-Oleum clear gloss spray paint. Then I'm going to move into a coat of epoxy before this step. So I just used 1-to-1 fast set to make sure that it dried really quickly. And then we're going to tape off the butt and make sure that it's nice and glittered for the rest of the design. So all I'm doing here is using a 1-inch painter's tape to really tape off the bottom to give me a nice straight line. And then I am coming in with Heartthrob, which is that red paint, again, just to paint the butt so that we get nice, even glitter coverage. I am not a huge fan of glittering over stainless, so I will always typically take the step of painting the bottom, but whatever floats your boat. So I am just going to make sure that I have a nice coat on there, hit it with the heat gun, and then come in with the glitter glue again and apply the glitter. One of the things I love about glitter glue is that it just goes on so easy, and you have, like, it's super easy to get a nice even coat so that your glitter sticks really well. So after that's done, we are going to pull the tape, let that dry, and seal it before we move into our next coats of epoxy. Now, one thing I forgot to film because I'm horrible is I did 2 coats of epoxy before moving into the pinstriping. So each time I did about 20-25 milliliters of Artistry's 1-to-1 fast set. And in one of the layers, I added a little bit of Chantilly to the epoxy just to give the whole cup a little bit of sparkle. I also just kind of sprinkled a little bit of that Cupid's Revenge at the bottom of the cup just to kind of add some little glitter here and there and kind of pull in the bottom. And you'll see that in the final pictures, but I wanted to call it out before I go into the pinstriping that we're doing here. Now, on all of my previous cups, I've always done vinyl to add any kind of stripe detailing. It's just what I've preferred, but because these stripes are so long, since this is a 30-ounce straight skinny, I needed to use nail tape because it allowed me to go longer than 12 inches, which is what the size of the vinyl typically is, what you can cut on my Cricut. So I ordered this nail tape off of Amazon, and I have to say I was extremely pleasantly surprised. So what you want to do here, and I'm trying to kind of demonstrate it, and I know this isn't the overhead view that you guys are used to, but what you want to do is just push down at the top of the cup and just pull out enough length to where you're not moving your hand as much, and you're just rotating the cup to lay the nail tape down. So you can see there that I've got probably a good 6 inches of the nail tape out to really make sure that I was getting the lines as straight as possible. It's a really easy step, and I think I'm going to lean towards nail tape in the future because I really liked it. Now, what I'm doing here is I wanted to add more pinstriping. So I just laid a piece of tape down on both sides of the white stripes that we added, so you can kind of see there. And then I'm taking silver pinstriping and offsetting the line, so you can really see what that looks like there. Also, just to call out, I used the silver pinstriping or the nail tape on the offset of the center stripe, so like the red kind of glitter mix, and then I used red to offset the white lines that we added. So then here, when I'm doing the pinstriping, I am doing the silver again to kind of pull the whole look together. So just take your time. Here you can really see that I'm attaching it to the top of the cup, and then I'm following the line of the tape around the cup and just holding it out as far as possible and rotating the cup and just letting the cup kind of lay itself down with the nail tape, if that makes sense. So it's super easy. Then I pulled the tape, and I love how this detailing looks on the cup. So once we're done laying down the stripes, I just took my X-Acto knife, and I wanted to make sure just to push down at the top rim of the vinyl. So I don't usually like to take my striping all the way to the rim because, again, I'm worried about like the epoxy not adhering well and just your whole design falling apart because moisture gets behind it. So I'm just going to work around the top rim, and then at the bottom rim, I'm doing the same thing. So like where the glitter butt starts, I'm just going to push my X-Acto knife and make sure that all of the taping is nice and even, and then we're going to move into sealing the tape. One thing I've heard is that nail tape is notorious for lifting under epoxy. So I wanted to make sure to take the time and do the extra step of sealing the nail tape before I moved into my final coats of epoxy. So this is Quick Seal from Artistry, and I absolutely love this stuff because it's really thick. So it's going to give you enough of a coat before you move into epoxy, and make sure that whatever's underneath it is nice and sealed in and it dries perfectly clear so you don't see it. So I'm just going to use a gloved hand, make sure that there's a nice coat over all of my pinstripes that you want to call them. Let that dry for about 45 minutes, and then it's time to come in with my flap wheel. So I know I'd been talking about this a bunch, but I wanted to show this step. Is after that quick seal is dry, I just took my cup and my flap wheel, and this is 120 grit, and I just made sure to expose that top layer of stainless steel. And then I'm going to come in with my 80 grit sanding block and just sand down that little bit of a ridge that appears sometimes when you're using your flap wheel. This again is just to make sure that this cup lasts forever and that my final coats of epoxy really adhere well. So here you see, and I'm going to go in with about 20 milliliters of epoxy. I didn't want to do thick final coats just because there's a lot going on with this cup. So I came in with Artistry's 1-to-1 fast set. Again, I used probably about 20 milliliters, let that dry for about 2 hours, and came in with a second final coat. Yes, you can use this fast set on the white glitter. It's not going to turn yellow because it does have the UV resistance. But after that, this cup was done, and I absolutely love how it turned out. I hope this tutorial inspires you, and I can't wait to see what you create. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information, please feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to help. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you're notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. I love you guys. Bye.